Hey guys, I'm doing well today. So I'll be over my Super Rugby Aotearoa Dream Team for round 3. So yeah, within this team I've selected, of course, many Blues and Crusaders players due to them winning over the weekend, which is kind of expected really. I have selected a few Highlanders, you can say a lot more Highlanders than expected, due to them, keeping the scores close against the Blues, as well as, putting up a lot of points, which is one of the main reasons why I've selected, more Highlanders within this team than anyone else, which can kind of be surprising. You could somewhat say. I have chucked in a few Chiefs players as well. I thought they kept the Crusaders close. It was a close match as well, and yeah, I just selected a few then just because I thought they caused the Crusaders to work harder essentially. But yeah, as well as that, of course I had to put in a few Crusaders. I mean, they did win the match, like I said, and there were some players there who just again were just as usual impressive, and yeah. I mean, it's the Crusaders really. What can you say? But yeah, I've also chosen these players based off their statistics over the weekend, as well as their influence, which I thought they brought to the game. So yeah, starting at number one, I've gone with Alex Hodgman. He was pretty impressive over the weekend. He had 7 runs, 7 run meters, one defender beaten, and he had 15 out of 17 tackles. So yeah, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. He was pretty impressive. You can see from his defensive stats where he had 15 out of 17 tackles, which is, I think, one of the highest in this dream team. So yeah, fair play to him. He was also one of the few people to break the Highlanders' defense early on, and I think he was the one that, broke the defense that led to one of the tries within the game. So yeah, again, impressive performance from him. So at number two, I've gone with Cody Taylor. Now this was kind of a tough decision because the two hookers who did well over the weekend was Cody Taylor and Ash Dixon, and I wouldn't disagree with you really if you chose Ash Dixon. I mean, he did score a try, but and he did influence his team to come close to winning the match, I guess, against the Blues, but I thought Cody Taylor, I mean, he's captain as well, so it's kind of a similar aspect, but yeah, and I just thought his stats particularly were more impressive. I mean, he had, 3 runs, he had 20 run meters, he had 1 line break, he had 1 offload, and he made 10 out of 11 tackles, which, yeah, I mean, you could say that's usual for Cody Taylor. I mean, that's kind of what you expect from him. But at the same time, I just thought, he brought his leadership skills in there, which, he's slowly getting into. This is only his second game as captain so far. So, yeah, no, I thought he put up a good performance for the Crusaders, and he just showed how and why he's arguably the starting hooker for the All Blacks. So yeah, definitely deserves to be in this dream team. So number three, again, this guy just keeps coming into my sides. I keep talking about him, but it's Michael Alatoa again. I mean, yeah, he's just solid all round. I mean, he had 4 runs, he had 6 run meters, he had 1 defender beaten, 1 offload. He had 8 out of 9 tackles. He did concede 1 penalty, which is it's not much, but yeah, I mean that's the only downside of his performance over the weekend. But other than that, he was very very impressive. Just in the role of a prop, I thought he did his job. He was great within the scrum for the Crusaders. I mean, particularly they were particularly good in the scrums, and I think the lineouts as well. They their lineout success was definitely better than the previous week against the Hurricanes. So yeah, fair play to him on that. So yeah, moving on to four. Here's one of the only 2 Chiefs players I've selected within this side. I've gone with Al Kui for the Chiefs, the young lock. I thought he put up a decent performance for the Chiefs. He did cause problems for the Crusaders line out a few times. He had 8 runs, he had 7 run meters, he had 1 offload, he had 3 out of 3 tackles, he had 1 turnover, and he won 3 lineouts, and he had 1 lineout steal. So yeah, he was all over the place really, and yeah, he's someone who people should be watching out for, particularly maybe the All Blacks. You never know, he could be a future All Black. I think he personally could be. Imagine like Alcui and Parkinson. That could be a great partnership for the future. But yeah, let's not get carried away. But yeah, no, again, very impressive performance. Really, I mean, he was one of the only, you could say, standout players for the Chiefs over the weekend against the Crusaders. He again did his job and yeah, put in a good shift really. So yeah, moving on to 5. Now, this one might surprise a few people. I mean, I did mention before Perry Parkinson, who again also had a great, great weekend really for the Highlanders against the Blues. I mean, he was all over the place. But I've actually gone with his partner in crime, and I've gone with Josh Dixon. I thought his performance was underrated over the weekend, I've had to say so myself. I mean, he had 4 runs, he had 3 1 meters, he had 12 out of 14 tackles, he had 2 turnovers, he won 5 lineouts, and he had 2 lineout steals. He did concede 1 penalty, but I mean, man, he was dominant he was dominating within that game. I just by watching that game, I could tell he was all over the place really, and I truly mean it. He did cause problems for the Blues within that lineout for sure. I mean, the Blues lineout wasn't as good as it was last week against the Chiefs, but yeah, fair credit to him. He did his job, and he put a shock, you can say, within the system, and he just showed what this Highlanders pairing of Dixon and Perry Parkinson can do. So yeah. Moving on to the loose forwards now. At 6, I've gone with Shannon Brazil. I thought he was pretty impressive over the weekend. I mean, he had 1 try, he had 5 runs, he had 15 run meters, he had 1 offload, 1 defender beaten. He made 16 out of 16 tackles, which is very impressive. And he had, what else? He won 3 lineouts as well. So yeah, again, all around the place, he was. He's just one of those players where you kind of you expect him to do what he did, and fair play to him. He was all over the place. Yeah, he's just one of those players where I feel bad for, because the All Blacks have so many loose forward options, to choose from, and like the loose forwards that are coming up as well. I mean, he's one of those players where I'm happy to see that he's on this dream team. He put his hand up for the one of the loose forward positions for the All Blacks. He's showing that he's still there really, and again, he's just one of those players where he's underrated for what he does for the Highlanders, and I just think that people will always he's one of those players where people will just forget to put him into the contention for the loose forwards that the All Blacks could choose for the future. So again, definitely deserves to be within this dream team. So moving on to 7, I've gone with Dalton Papali'i, one of the standout players you could say throughout the weekend. He had 2 tries, he had 9 runs, he had 41 run meters, he had 2 line breaks, 1 offload, and he made 10 out of 11 tackles. I mean, that's a Papali'i performance for you, really. I mean, he was one of the best players over the weekend, I've had to say. I mean, he arguably was one of the... what did I say? He's one of the... Yeah, I would say he's one of the 3 players that I thought about for my MVP for this week, but I didn't think he put in as... How do I say this? As a Blues fan, I gotta say that I just kind of expected him to do that. I've always said that he was a great player. He had tons of potential. I mean, he's already played for the All Blacks. I think he has 1 cap already. So people know about him obviously. He's definitely put up his hand before, and again, he just had an all round performance really for the Blues. I thought having 2 tries. I mean, it's great to see. But impressive performance from Papali'i, if I say so myself. Now, moving on to 8, the last of the forward pack. Again, this guy I think he's going to be in my team every week. I mean, it's Hoskins Tutu. I mean, he had 8 runs, he had 21 run meters, he had 2 defenders beaten, he had 1 offload, 9 out of 10 tackles, which is, yeah, again, impressive. He had 2 turnovers, he won 3 lineouts, but he did concede 1 penalty, which is the only, you could say, negative of his performance over the weekend. But other than that, man, he was crucial within the game, particularly within that last play where he got that ball and held it up for a maul, and yeah, the rest was history. But yeah, he's just one of those players where I said it in previous videos, but he's definitely going to be an All Black. It's just now with a wait and see what happens. I mean, recently he put out saying that, I mean, I find it kind of odd that he said it, but he was saying like, oh, how his mom has an English passport, he was also a bit Fijian, he was born in New Zealand, so, he has the option for playing for either Fiji, England, or New Zealand, so, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'll be pretty upset if he goes to England, not because I feel like he'll do bad at England, it's just that it's the All Blacks. I mean, I feel kind of, yeah, I don't know who would turn on the All Blacks, really. But yeah, again, impressive performance, really, overall from Satutu. Kind of expected, if to say, after, his form over the last few weeks. But yeah, moving on to the backs. This one, you could say, was kind of difficult, but I've decided to go with Aaron Smith. I thought he was one of the key players from the Highlanders side over the weekend. I thought he controlled the game. He had 64 passes, he had 5 runs, he had 3 1-meters, he had 2 offloads, he had 3 out of 4 tackles, and he had 1 turnover. So, yeah, again, it's just an Aaron Smith performance you can kind of that you would expect. I mean, he was all over the place. He was, making, yeah, he was just making plays with the Highlanders throughout that match. I mean, yeah, the Highlanders were just impressive overall, and he was one of those key players that, helped them make the game, closer than expected, you could say, and yeah, a brilliant performance, you could say, really. So yeah, moving on to 10, one of the players I've considered for my MVP for this dream team. It's Mitch Hunt, where he was just all over the place. All over the place. One of the best players over the weekend. I mean, he had 1 try, he had 8 runs, he had 46 run meters, he had 4 defenders beaten, he had 1 line break, 5 out of 6 tackles, and he kicked 3 conversions and kicked 1 penalty as well. So yeah, he was, he showed why that he still has it, and why he left the Crusaders for the Highlanders. I mean, yeah, that was a Mitch Hunt performance that I haven't seen in a long time, you could say. And you know what, actually, I'm not going to say he's my MVP. The next guy who I'm going to talk about will be the MVP, but yeah, definitely impressed by him. He was just one of those players which I thought influenced the game heavily, and without him, I don't think the Highlanders would have done so well. So yeah, moving on to 11. Like I said before, my MVP over the weekend, Caleb Clark. Another impressive performance. He was brilliant within round 1. I mean, he kind of died down a bit, you could say, within round 2 against the Chiefs. I mean, the backs weren't really involved in that game. Only Mark Talia at the end of that game was the only moment where you could see the backs kind of involved. But yeah, within this game, though, the backs were everywhere. I mean, Caleb Clark he had 1 try, he had 1 try assist, he had 7 runs, he had 77 run meters, he had 1 defender beaten, 2 line breaks, 1 offload, 4 out of 7 tackles. I mean, he did concede 1 penalty, but other than that, man, he was all over the place. Out of all the players I said he was all over the place, he was definitely all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, he put up that performance. He had I think it was his grandfather who passed away over the weekend. So he dedicated that performance to him, and man, if he was watching, he would definitely be proud of that. So yeah, fair play to Caleb Clark. Yeah, he was definitely my MVP for sure over the weekend. He pulled off a performance which it just shows that he's not like a one game wonder, really. He puts it, he's beginning to be more consistent, really. So yeah, really impressive by him. Now, moving on to the centers. The first one I'm going with is Tompkinson. I think he's underrated for his I've chosen him particularly just because of his stats. I mean, he had 9 runs, he had 28 run meters, he had 2 defenders beaten, he had 1 offload, and he made 15 out of 17 tackles. So yeah, he put up a pretty impressive defensive performance, if that's to say so myself. I mean, yeah, he really did control the game for the Highlanders within that back line, I thought. I mean, Mitch Hunt was, don't get me wrong, I thought, was the most impressive for the Highlanders for that game. But I'd say Tompkinson, you didn't think he was there, but man, he did well. I mean, he also stopped the likes of Rico causing you know, as much damage as he normally does. So, yeah, definitely deserves to be within this side, and yeah, fair play to him. Now, moving on to the 13 role, we have Jack Goodhue for the Crusaders. He had 4 runs, he had 10 run meters, he had 1 defender beaten, and he made 9 out of 11 tackles, and he had 1 turnover. So, again, that's kind of another player who you kind of expect to have those stats, across every weekend. He's essentially an All Black starter, and yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna dive too much into Goodhue because we all know what he can do. I mean, with a mull of his, and yeah, he was just impressive. He definitely that combination with Enroy is just it is the best center combination within this competition, and yeah, he's just proving how important he is really to the side, and he's. I mean, for me, I always thought he was so old. Like I thought he was old, not so old, but I thought he was older than what he looks like. And yeah, no, he is younger. He's like what, like 25? So yeah, he definitely has another World Cup within him, and maybe another World Cup after. You never know. You never know. Maybe they'll rely on him again. We'll have to wait and see when he is Mr. Reliable. But yeah, another great performance, of course, from Jack Hoodoo. So yeah, now moving on to 14. This was one of the you could say controversial decisions I had to make over this this team, because there weren't a lot of 14s who were, you could say, somewhat you stood out like completely over the weekend. I mean, it came really down to Sebu Reece and Sean Wainui. I mean, Sebu Reece did have he made 2 try assists over the weekend for Will Jordan, so that was a good pairing there, and I could have put him within this side. But I have actually gone with Sean Wainui. I thought he's underrated, and he's one of those players who, in my opinion, and you don't have to take this in the wrong way, I just don't think he's one of those players that will make the All Blacks, but he put a very decent performance, if I say so myself. I mean, he got 1 try. He made 10 runs. He had 53 run meters. He had 1 defender beaten, 1 line break, and he had 1 tackle, which is practically nothing really. But man, he definitely helped the Chiefs, do well in that back line. He put up points in for himself, and he definitely brought the Chiefs closer to what what everyone thought they would be. And he's just one of those guys where he's not an average player, but he can have like those 1 or 2 games where he stands out for the Chiefs, and definitely deserves to be within this dream team for sure. And now, the last player. I think this is no stretch of a surprise who this player is going to be, really. I mean, it's one of my favorites, and I'm saying the next Ben Smith, really. It's Will Jordan. So yeah, he takes up the 15 role within this dream team. I mean, he had 9 runs, he had 94 run meters, he had 3 defenders beaten, 1 line break, 5 out of 5 tackles. He did concede 1 penalty, but man, he had another impressive performance, you can say. He was excellent over the weekend, and he was his usual self, with 2 tries as well. I mean, he was, it's just a regular performance, you can say, from him. It's kind of what you expect, and hopefully we get to see more of him within the All Black side. He's one of those players which I feel is the future All Black for sure. Like, I would say he's a guaranteed All Black in my eyes, but that can be debated. You have to we'll have to wait and see really. But yeah, I mean the All Blacks are blessed with fullback options. They have the likes of Bowden Barrett. I mean Damien McKenzie. They have Will Jordan. They have who else? They have Havili. I mean they're blessed within that area, and I hope to see that Will Jordan makes the All Blacks sooner or later, and he might be included within that North and South match, which I think it's scheduled for August the 29th. So hopefully with the team within that match, maybe go against or I don't know if he's from the South or the North, but because it's based on where you played for like your first province, so I'm not sure where he was taught, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does, and again, he's on outstanding form. Really, it's kind of just usual to see from him, and that's it with the team. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I mean, I had fun doing this video. This is kind of my favorite video to do over on this channel. So hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.